first quarter. All right, but let's talk about some of these other teams in the FBS because
oh yes, the music. Okay, very good.
I do think it's a question what success looks like for these individual teams. College Tailgate on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits in one of the country's top workplaces? Then come join our growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. So earlier in the show, we did Bama, we did Michigan. Those teams finished last season 1 and 2 respectively. None of the three of us had the expectation that they need to finish up there again in order to have success. But let's talk about Ohio State, Rashad. Ohio State, arguably the best roster, I would say at least the deepest roster in all of college football this season. Ryan Day, his seat feels a little hot there, which is kind of ridiculous considering obviously Ohio State has been very good. Second in the preseason polls. What does success look like for Ohio State?
Success for Ohio State looks like being in the national championship, competing, not necessarily winning it. Obviously, everybody wants to win it. That's what all teams set out to do. But I think a successful season, 100% will be them in the national championship this year.
Yeah, for me, Amber, successful season for Ohio State starts with winning the Big Ten championship. Taking advantage of Michigan, going through maybe a change here. Obviously, I understand you got Oregon there, but okay, you got to be better than really good teams and to win your conference championship. So it starts with winning the Big Ten, and I think it also includes a semifinal appearance. So that would mean you're going to get the first round bye and winning a playoff game. Winning a playoff game against what would then be a lower-seeded team. Could be number 6, number 7, whatever it is. But winning the Big Ten championship and a semifinal appearance, I think that's a successful season for Ohio State.
I have Ohio State needing to win the Big Ten for a truly successful season, although I don't have them doing that. I have them, in my prediction, getting an at-large bid, still making a college football playoffs. Would that satisfy the fan base? I think that's up for debate. Like, either way you're in it. I think that then at that point, it depends how far you go in the college football playoffs. But if they were to win the Big Ten, and then obviously you have that automatic bye and you win a game after that, I feel like that's a successful season. It's hard for me with any of these teams, and I know Ryan Day is under a lot of pressure, but it's hard for me with any of these teams with now an expanded playoff to say they have to be in a national title game in order for it to be successful. But winning championships goes a long way at that school, so at least win a conference one at the very least. All right, let's move on to Texas. The first time Texas is finding themselves in the SEC. Rashad, what does success look like for Texas for its first year joining that monster conference?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, Texas, what it looks like for them to be successful is making the playoffs. This is a contending team. Obviously, Nick Saban says that he can see them playing against Georgia in the national championship as a very possibility. But coming in the SEC, which now that I understand, Amber, you'll be rooting for them as well if they make it. But but I think for them to come in the conference and compete and make the playoffs will show a lot of people, hey, we can come in this SEC and run the show too. So it opens up a lot of conversation for other conferences as well.
Amber, I'm tempted to say that winning a playoff game is a successful season for Texas, but I'm actually going to stop short of that. First year in the SEC, I have 4 teams in the SEC making the college football playoff. So if Texas can be one of those 4, I think that's a successful season for them.
I also have 4 teams in the SEC making the college football playoff. Texas is one of them. To me, as an at-large, I do not have them in the SEC championship game. I'm not rooting for Texas to make it to the SEC championship game because I feel like that's disrespectful to the SEC. I am an SEC.
Oh, wow. So that's literally what I started off the show saying. That's literally what I said.
Yeah,
that's
the real deal,
Texas
topping
can't
out
just
around
waltz in here, okay? Or Oklahoma. They can't just waltz in here and make it. Right? That negates everything that we always say as SEC fans. So that is not something I think that they will accomplish. But I do think just making a college football playoff in their first season, having to navigate that conference would be a huge success there for Texas. Colorado, Rashad, what about the Colorado Buffaloes? What looks like success for Deion?
Deion not getting in too much trouble. If he can stay out of media's way, I think they're going to have a success. Now, I honestly think that for Colorado, a successful season will be, first of all, let's see if they can get over 500. That should be expected. But I think just simply for the division, the conference they're in, they can be competitive. I honestly don't know how well they are going to be this season, but I think if they get 8 games, I think that's a successful season.
Oh, Rashad, I think that'd be a big-time successful season. I think it's 7 wins, Amber. 7-5 regular season record. Boy, if you get to 8 wins, Deion, Deion's going to be, he'll be getting those recruits. If he gets to 8 wins, I think that's a major stretch. I think 7 wins is a very successful season.
I think, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. I think they had 4 losses to ranked teams, but within single digits last season. Like, some of those games were a lot closer for the Colorado Buffaloes than people realized that they were. And sometimes, I've heard the argument anyways, that Colorado wasn't as bad as everybody pretends. Sometimes the truth is somewhere in between.
You win 4 games. You don't need to come up with your stats. If you win 4 games, you're not good.
But can you add 3 more to that, or 4 more to that? Then yes, you should be able to. Now, given this is a team that I think they turned over something like 92 players since Deion Sanders has arrived in this program. There's a lot of change in Colorado, but when you have Deion Sanders, there's always some semblance of expectation because the eyes will be on you. I think success would be something like 8 wins would be, it seems like a massive success. I don't think that they need to make the college football playoffs. Notre Dame, Rashad.
Notre Dame feels like they got a chance to go to the playoffs. So if Notre Dame does not make it in the playoffs, it's not a success for them. As we had talked about before earlier, Amber, based upon the rankings, it's a possibility that they have to go undefeated to make it in. That's something that they can do. They have the skill set to do it. They have the coaching staff and the players to do it in the system. So if Notre Dame is not in the playoffs this year, it's hard to say they had a successful year.
Yeah, I'm up in the ante a little bit, Rashad. And it may go hand in hand, but I think it's making the playoffs and hosting a playoff game in South Bend. Now, obviously, they're never going to be allowed, unless they shock everyone one day and join a conference, they're never going to have a first-round bye. It may go hand in hand, making the postseason and hosting a game, because you figure, all right, they probably can't lose more than 1, max 2 games. And if that's the case, you're probably going to be ranked numbers 5 through 8. So I'm going make the playoffs, host a playoff game on campus. Their
schedule's too easy this year for them to drop multiple games. Like, I don't think that they'll get into a college.
So that's why it's got to be host a playoff game.
They kick off their season out of the gate, Texas A&M. Their hardest game is against Florida State, although Florida State's run defense right now looks like maybe Notre Dame will be able to get something done against them. But yes, I tend to agree with Zaslow. It's make a college football playoffs and host a college football game, which is entirely possible. Let's finish things off here, guys, with Georgia. Expectations for Georgia. What does a successful season look like, Rashad?
A successful season only is winning a national championship. Like I said earlier, with Ohio State, a successful season will be them getting to the national championship without a doubt. But if Georgia does not win it, then it's almost like the season kind of was pointless unless some of the players are going to play in the NFL. Other than that, the expectation this year, hands down, is for Georgia to win the national championship.
Rashad's right. It's win the national championship. That's a successful season. When you're in the midst of a dynasty, when you're the new big bad, when you enter the season, number 1, a successful season is winning the national championship.
Wow, that's wild. Multiple playoff games you have to win along the way and win a national championship, win an SEC championship probably in this scenario as well if you're Georgia. I do think that this would be my exception to the rule of expecting a team to get into a natty as being too high of an expectation for most of these teams. I think expecting Georgia to be there is reasonable. I don't know if they necessarily need to win it. I think if they were there, that would be considered a successful season. Coming up next here on College Tailgate with Jonathan Zaslow, Rashad Jennings, and Amber Wilson. Who is the biggest stars in college football this season? I mean, there's no Caleb Williams. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. anymore. So who has taken over the helm in terms of stardom? That's next on ESPN Radio.
Down to kickoff.
This place is gonna rock! Magic from Michigan, touchdown!
We ain't got next. We got now. Campus to campus, team to team.
Living the moment that every single kid dreams about.
The countdown rolls on right here on ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1530.
From the Stacy Air Solutions Tempstar Weather Center, here's your forecast.
Welcome to the weekend and a bit more heat here in the tri-state. Temperatures start in the mid-60s and warm to 89, 90-ish for this afternoon. The sky will be mostly sunny and humidity slowly but surely rising. Tonight down to only 68, so warm. And then your Sunday forecast will be partly cloudy with a high of 92. Again, a little bit more humid where you'll feel it's sticky outside. That's the forecast. I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Jennifer Ketchmark.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Get immersed in new worlds and ideas with Audible. Explore an incredible selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals, all in one easy app. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
Can't get enough of a bar song? Good news for our Cincinnati listeners. The singer, songwriter, and producer Shabuzi is coming to Cincinnati on September 22nd through 25th for the Forbes Under 30 Summit. Plus, as an iHeartMedia radio listener, you can secure your spot for only $350. Learn more and claim your discounted ticket today at Forbes.com/iHeart. That's Forbes.com/iHeart.
Hey there. What's for dinner tonight? Takeout again. Remember your last order. Soggy fries with a side of $12 fees, plus the 1-hour delivery time? You can do better. Get Factor's fresh, chef-crafted meals delivered right to your door, all ready in just 2 minutes. Try a mouth-watering shredded chicken taco bowl or creamy tomato and goat cheese chicken cavatappi. I know what you're thinking. Could dinner really be this easy? With Factor, it's always this easy. Factor. Fresh, never-frozen meals in 2 minutes.
You okay?
Sorry, I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Howdy, I'm Aaron Tippett. I've been blessed to be able to make a living at what I love, making music for more than 25 years. But it didn't get there overnight. There were a lot of long days and nights of working just to make ends meet. Good things in life don't always come easy, but when you sweat for what you want, it makes it even sweeter when you get it. So remember to work hard, and when the opportunities present themselves, you got to be ready to grab them. This message is brought to you by the United States Air Force.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges, but many of us don't know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we work every day to eliminate stigma and advance mental health. Visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station. This is College Tailgate on ESPN Radio.
This is College Tailgate on ESPN Radio. Jonathan Zaslow, he's here. Amber Wilson, I'm here. Former NFL running back and Dancing with the Stars winner, Rashad Jennings, he's here as well. You can find those guys at Rashad Jennings, at Zaslow Show, and you can find me at Amber W Sports. College Tailgate is presented to you by Progressive Insurance. So, Rashad, this season, we kind of have a lack of star power in college football. And I wonder, too, with this, because obviously we had the departure of, guys like Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of the names that over the last few years we've become accustomed to. So that happens in college football each and every year. That's nothing unusual. What I do think is unusual is the transfer portal. And now that we're seeing these guys, and some of them names that we're very familiar with, but guys that end up third, fourth team across the landscape of college football. Do you think, Rashad, that helps them in terms of their star power? Does that hurt them in terms of their star power? I think I could make that argument, frankly, either way.
Yeah, it's hard to figure that one out. There's pros and cons to it. It's a puzzle, finding the right guy, the right mix at the right time, transferring to the right team with the right offense. You also could transfer back down too, where maybe you play more, but you're not as successful. And so, depending on your position, if you're playing quarterback, but you don't have success as the numbers in winning, then everybody's questioning, are you a winner? But if you are a quarterback that's okay on a really good team and you have wins, it's like, okay, this guy's a winner. And people always talk about wins and losses. Well, some people can pull a player out of a losing team and can see they are a winner. And some people pull a quarterback or a player that's not as good because they won. And so it's pros and cons. I think personally the transfer portal does force the coaches to have to marry the player rather than dating them. You have to be committed to them now. You have to re-recruit them. You have to show your honor and love to them consistently
every year.
Every year. So I think that's the fun part of the portal, but it can get frustrating trying to follow these guys and where they at.
Yeah,
They've got options now, Zaslow. You know, this ain't the 1950s anymore. They can have their own bank accounts. They can even vote, right? They've got options.
Yeah, no, I like having options. The part that I don't like
do women.
Is what Rashad just said, which is the re-recruiting your own guys. That part I don't love. I don't know what the answer to that is, though. Like, are we going to look back in 5-10 years from now where, all right, you're only able to enter the transfer portal once? You know, is it going to be if you do enter the transfer portal, you're then, you know, essentially signing with that school for multiple years? So I don't know what the future looks like, but I'm pretty certain that what we're seeing now, which is the wild, wild west, is not what the future is going to look like.
I don't think it's sustainable. I largely don't think it's sustainable from an NIL perspective, and that's sort of the lawyer in me thinking about this from a contractual perspective, or even if we end up in a world where there's true pay for play and these programs themselves are playing the players, in which case then you would have to have the players under some semblance of commitment, you would think, to the programs. If you just think of it from the outside looking in, it's like, okay, well, I mean, Zaslow, Amber, Rashad, we could have gone to 50 different schools. Well, maybe not Rashad because he was playing football, but Zaslow and Amber could have gone
they
to,
would have loved me. Many schools would have loved me.
Well, you would have had to get into them first, so that does seem a bit limiting from an academic perspective, but you know what I mean. In theory, there would have been some colleges that would have allowed Jonathan Zaslow entrance into those colleges, and we wouldn't have been penalized for wanting to change colleges from that perspective. So I understand the argument for the empowerment of the player that, heck, go wherever and make your money in NIL and go. But at the same time, you're signing deals for NIL. I mean, right now people are paying you for your services, essentially, even if it's not the university or the athletic department itself, whether it's boosters, whether it's legitimate businesses. I think all of that complicates things because you're going to, I think, if you're in a position to pay players, want some semblance of commitment that equates to something beyond maybe a singular season. So I could see that landscape changing overall. Right now, though, it's the wild, wild west out here. So we've got to determine who are the stars or potential stars in college football this season. Rashad, in your opinion, who should we be looking at as being able to kind of take over from that star power perspective?
It's kind of wide open. I think Carson, he's leading the pack just because he's playing with Georgia. Over there, Carson Beck. You got the quarterback. His name's slipping my mind, out of Oregon.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I think
he
absolutely. He's favorable to win the Heisman. We're going to have some people emerge over the year. Who maybe that is, I have no idea. I think a few different receivers may be able to slip in there, but it seems that, especially at the collegiate level, the Heisman Trophy seems almost who's the best quarterback in the NFL. It's not even a Heisman anymore. It's just simply straight up who's the best quarterback at the college football level.
So I got 3 guys in particular, Amber, that I'm marking down. Two of which are quarterbacks. One, I'm going to give you a running back. The running back, I think, who we're all probably expecting to have a big year, and it's why the punishment was so light from Coach Mike Gundy. We're talking Ollie Gordon II. All right, so Ollie Gordon, I think is
real quick, and this is real. Does that hurt Ollie Gordon? Do you think, from a star power perspective? We're referring, of course, to the DUI arrest.
No, if anything, it has more eyeballs on him, which I think helps. So Ollie Gordon II, that's the one. 2 quarterbacks. Number 1, I expect a huge year from Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. I expect a huge year from Ole Miss, period. So if that's going to be the case, then I think the quarterback is going to have a very, very big year. So I think Jackson Dart is someone to look for. And, look, let's be honest here. Shedeur Sanders, all right? Shedeur Sanders put up just monster numbers last year. And, yes, they're very – him and his father are very bombastic. They're very outspoken. But Shedeur Sanders, the decision-making and the accuracy is really second to none. I mean, 3 interceptions all of last season he had, running for his life behind that offensive line. He is a really, really good player. So those are 3 guys that I got.
According to ESPN Bet, Dylan Gabriel has the best odds right now to win the Heisman Trophy out of Oregon, with Carson Beck coming in just behind him at plus 850 right now on ESPN Bet. So both of the nominations from Rashad. Right behind them is Quinn Ewers, who I don't think either of you guys mentioned, the quarterback out of Texas. He makes my list. Jackson Dart is on that list as well. I tend to agree with Zaslow. I think he could have a huge season out of Ole Miss. Shedeur Sanders, obviously, is going to be there from a star power perspective. I'm not sure he's going to be there from a Heisman Trophy contender perspective, because Colorado has to win games. Coming up next here on ESPN Radio, College Game Day with Matt Schick and Trevor Mattich and Matt Sims, all right here on ESPN.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, college football is underway, and I'm going to tell you who the biggest threat is to Ohio State and Georgia. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
ESPN 1530, Cincinnati's sports station.
For decades, the mafia had New York City in a stranglehold, but the murder of Carmichael Lanti marked the beginning of the end.
It sent the message that we can prosecute these people.
From the minds behind the acclaimed television series, listen to Law and Order: Criminal Justice System on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart Radio app and search Law and Order: Criminal Justice System and start listening.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Since 1910, Apollo Home has been serving the greater Cincinnati and northern Kentucky area as your all-in-one solution for HVAC, electrical, plumbing services, and even those handyman services as well. They've got affordable financing options available to you 7 days a week. Choose local. Choose Apollo Home. Visit them at ApolloHome.com today.
From the ESPN 1530 studio. Built by Madewell Restoration. Make sure your home's exterior is made well. Visit MadewellRestoration.com. This is 1530 WCKY, the 50,000-watt orange and black home of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Ed Benkin. The college football season is underway, albeit with an abbreviated schedule. Right now in ESPN, 10th-ranked Florida State is taking on Georgia Tech in Ireland. Seminoles hold an 11-7 lead as they play early in the second quarter. Meanwhile, it's a whole new world in college football this season with expanded playoffs. And ESPN's Heather Dinich says the team in the number 12 spot could be in trouble.
The team in the 12th spot, the selection committee's number 12 team, could be the unluckiest team in the country because that team could get bumped out for that group of 5 conference champion that I was talking about. If the group of 5 champion is ranked outside the top 12.
3 other Division I games are on the schedule for later today. It is the final full weekend of NFL preseason action. 8 games are on the Saturday schedule, and 5 are about to kick off. There was a trade today as the Bears acquired defensive tackle Chris Williams from the Browns. They also give up a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-round pick. To baseball, where the Astros and Orioles have split the first 2 games of their 4-game series. They will play again this afternoon here on ESPN Radio with our coverage getting underway at 3:30 Eastern. Houston has opened up a 4.5-game lead over the struggling Mariners in the American League West, rather. The Orioles trail the Yankees by a 1.5 games in the AL East. The Yankees will play the Rockies again this afternoon. The Phillies have activated all-star pitcher Ranger Suarez off the injured list. He will start tonight in Kansas City against the Royals. Philadelphia has lost 4 of its last 5, including their opener against Kansas City last night. Little League World Series on ABC. Chinese Taipei and Venezuela are scoreless as they play in the first inning.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, college football is underway, and I'm going to tell you who the biggest threat is to Ohio State and Georgia. It's on Sportsman, like 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Campus to campus.
We know what this is. It's going to be a 60-minute slugfest.
Game to game.
Today is a coming out party.
Down the far sideline for the Tennessee touchdown.
Big play for the Ducks. They take over. And who's got it? Touchdown, Seminoles.
Jalen Milroe extending the play. This is college football as good as it gets. College Game Day has arrived.
This is College Game Day on ESPN Radio. You can also listen to College Game Day on the ESPN app and on SiriusXM Channel 80. Presented by Home Depot.
A new season. College football is upon us. College Game Day is here yet again. College Game Day on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, and the ESPN app. Matt Schick, Trevor Matich, and Matt Sims here with you throughout this season. We are underway in this 2024 campaign. Number 10, Florida State, with an 11-7 lead on Georgia Tech over in Ireland. Georgia Tech in the midst of a pretty meaty drive. They're right now on the Florida State inside the Florida State 20-yard line after a nice drive, which has chewed up some time. Trevor Matich, you first. This game, has it gone according to your expectations?
Yes, slugfest. Florida State got the ball to open the game, and they had a 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. and then ran it 5 straight plays for a touchdown. Then they had a 2-point conversion. So Florida State was saying, we are dominant. We are going to smash you in the mouth. And what does Georgia Tech do on their first drive? They come out and have 6 plays, 5 of them runs, touchdown. They hit Florida State in the mouth. And so both of these